Hey everyone, in step 3 here I'm going to show you how to retexture the barrels in any way you want here in Substance Painter. There's a lot you can do with it, and so one thing to note, if you go to infinitybr.com, a bunch of these already have the painter files ready. You can see the icon here and listed here, Substance Painter. That means the Medusa has all of her Substance Painter files. In many cases, in some cases, the textures were done completely in Painter. In other cases, it will be more like this barrel where the default is set up for you, and then you can add and replace and modify and new layers over that. So I'm going through all these and adding them as I can. So the barrels is one now too. So you'll just load up the Painter file. You get the latest version of Painter, I would suggest, and load up the file. And what you'll see here is the default texture, and you turn that off, you get this the white with the AO, and these are the maps over here. I am not going to go over how to use Painter really, because it's a little more complicated than my skill set would allow me to teach you, but I can show you how I set up the structure here. So if you add in this Alt 2, you'll get the Alt 2 version, and you can remove the default texture if you'd like as well. So that's what we got going on here. Oh, you know what? In general, you're not going to remove the default texture because you want to keep the normal map. We've got the new look right here. You can see it. If she is a minute. I'm making a video showing people how to paint this stuff. Yeah, I can delete it. You need to go eat it. Yeah. I'll let you watch another video another time when I make it. So we've got the new and the old. I like to separate the two so it's easy to switch back and forth when I'm exporting the maps. And then in Designer, which we'll go over in the next step, there will be a slider that lets me just slide between the two. However, let's go and start one from scratch. We're going to keep the base default texture up there, and we're going to call this a demo texture. And so what we're going to do is first let's replace the wood. So I'm going to search down here for wood, see what kind of wood I've got. And if you go onto Substance Share, you can probably get some more wood. You can just bring something off the wall, something weird, just door church. Okay, that's clearly not going to work. Well, it would work. No. I'm going to make a new folder under this, actually, under Demo Texture, called Wood. And to that, I'm going to add a mask with a color selection. That brings up this right here. Pick a color. I'm going to pick the red. Nope, not the red. Undo that. Pick the white. That way, when I do drag something like this into the child of that folder, it only affects the wood. So clearly, that's not a good look either. So I'm going to go with more traditional wood. Let's see what this one looks like. Wood chest stylized. That seems like it might be cool. Okay. Now the grain is going the wrong way, so I'm going to go in here. I don't know if there's an easier way to do this, but I'm going to make sure the UV is rotated on anything that has UV rotation. I'm not sure which ones are affecting it. I don't think anything else is. Maybe wood fibers too. That seems like it might be angle. Let's make that 90. Okay. Alright, so we've got that wood there. And of course, if you want to try other woods, you can try other woods, just bring them in, or you can do metal as well if you'd like. Just remember that the normal map and height do pass through by default, so there is that to think of. So I'm just going to delete that one, use that. And then let's replace the metal, so I'm going to do a new one up here, another one called metal. And we're going to add a color selection. That mask from the color selection will select the red and the green for the metal. And we'll search for metal. So let's say we want this old iron look. We'll drag that in there. and now we've got this old iron look. So that's, you know, it's a little shiny, but we can adjust that. We can say, well, let's say that we want to mix in this cast iron with that. So in this cast iron, that's dark, and then let's go to our smart masks and start playing around. This is how I like to do it. Play around with the looks there to see what works to get this mixture of the two. There we go, that's an interesting look, some more cartoonish. Alright, this look. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to stick with that, I think. I'm going to go back to this wood here. And there was some other wood that maybe I'd want to mix in with this one. Let's see. Not aged. This brand new one was an interesting look. It was needs to be rotated 90 degrees. Okay, and then yes, and then what we can do is maybe go back to our smart masks and just see what we can do to get an interesting look on these. This is going to be a directional one, so like that. This is one of the masks I've created. That's don't want that. Let's see. Cavity rest. Alright, that could be interesting. We got the newer wood and the seams, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to flip these around so that one is, oops, flip the order, there we go. I'm going to add that cavity rest to the older wood, and then we can adjust the settings here. There we go. And now I'm going to adjust these to make it match a little bit more so that the color matches, make it a little darker. And this one will, let's see, the base right here, we can bring the roughness up a little bit. There we go. And maybe the color a little darker as well. There we go. So, there. And, alright, so now this is still a little shiny, and I feel like the wood could be made a little bit better. So let's collapse that. I'm going to add a new layer here. This is going to be a fill layer, and I'm going to turn off everything. Oops, everything but the roughness. So I'm just going to be painting roughness on it. I'm going to make it some amount of less shiny, like this. There we go. And then I'm going to add a black mask, so now that it's not visible at all. Go to my brushes and find one that works, maybe this mold brush. Let's just see how this works if I stamp that on. Oops. This is probably what's going on. Okay, there we go. So just kind of push it around a little bit. Get that kind of look. Let's undo that. Perhaps a better one. Fibers. That's a little better. Okay, so I'm going to do... Yeah, find one I like. And I'm just going to go around the edges here so that the reflectiveness is a little bit modified. I think you can do this pretty quick. You know, my artistic skills don't really lend itself to very specific tasks. So, I'm just going to do this kind of quickly. Started. Alright, so now we've got this look here. Alright, so there are many ways to do different things in Painter. I've now made a duplicate of the wood chest, the stylized, the dark, less reflective one, and I added a black mask. I'm just going to paint on some more grunge to it. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use, but I'm going to start with just this one and see what that does. So that's what that does. I think I want a more hard one, so let's try dirt. Again, you can paint it up here, or you can paint it down here on the UV. So I think I like that. What I'm going to do, though, is adjust the size jitter a little bit more, the flow jitter higher, and yeah, and we'll keep the rest the same. There we go. So now it's going to give a much... I am going to actually bring the flow down just a little bit. There we go. And then as I go around these, it'll give this nice look where it's, you know, a little bit more damaged, and only the middle is still there. And for those of you who are more artistic, you could probably do this much more efficiently and in a more pleasing way than I can. I have a feeling. I do like with Painter that, you know, you have this ability to paint on these effects rather than just using masks. The masks are really killer, but being able to just paint on this effect is substantial, I think, because it allows us to just, for those of us who are not artists, especially, it allows us to, you know, have an impact that looks good in a pretty quick manner, without much fuss, and really you can just, you know, kind of play around with it to see what works rather than having to take tons of courses and whatnot. So there we go. I like this look. Maybe I can clean this up a little bit here, and of course, if you ever go too far, like, you know, let's say I went too far on this one block, I need to bring it back. Just hit the X button to invert that, and you can bring that back and paint it the other direction. So there's that as well. There we go. So I like that look of the wood, actually. I'm actually really liking it now. So I think I'm going to leave it as is. I can look up here, but I noticed earlier that I liked the way this was still very bright there. If anything, I would, oops, bring that back. I would want to make this different. So let's just undo that. And what I'm going to do is bring this down. Just run this around a little bit. Run around on this side too. There we go. If you wanted to, you can do a little bit more in the middle there, but kind of, I don't know. That's fine. So there you go. And of course, it's all non-destructive, so if you're like, you know what, that was terrible, you can just turn that off, try something else, and then work and see which one you like the most. So we got the wood there, and then we've got this metal, and we've already done some with the mask, and let's see if we can add a little bit more. I'm going to add a black mask for that cast iron. I just duplicated it. Let's see if we do the similar thing here, just rubbing this around, if we can get a kind of a look that we like. That's kind of cool. So I'm going to do that on the UVs as well. Just quickly bring that around. Okay. So now we can again go back and forth just by clicking this to see if we like it. I do kind of like that. It makes the metal slightly more realistic, I think, to the look. And then we could do other things, like let's say, I don't know. Let's say we want some dirt around the edges there. We can search for dirt. I actually have, there's some dirt already, but I've got some dirt as well. Let's see. I'm going to duplicate this cast iron again, black mask, just to get rid of it. And then let's add this some dirt. Where was it? Sharp dirt. Let's see what that does. Looks like it did absolutely nothing. So, So we'll delete that. Undo, undo, undo. So I've got these dirts, SFB dirt underscore. This is how I save all my stuff, with the SFB prefix because it's easier to find. Some rust here. I'm looking for dirt. Got this dirt. This one has some depth to it, so I add that. And now, as we go in now, we can just see that difference. So I'm going to leave that because I like that too. And then over the whole thing, we add a new folder called this dirt. And I'm going to bring this lesser dirt over that. That's going to add dirt over the entire model. And you can add, delete that. And if you want, you can also remove the height. Oops. Or where's the height? You can remove the height value, so that AO part. There you go, and that keeps us from changing the height of the model. What's going on here? What's causing that? Interesting. Somehow this little artifact is showing up there. Not sure why. It's showing up here as well. So let me try to cover that. I'm going to create a new fill layer. And we're just going to use the color, black mask. And then I'll take this, just go really small. Use other brushes too. Make sure the flow is up and bring the flow jitter down. So I just want this completely covered. And then change the fill color to be color picker. This one you have to hold it. Do that. And it's still transparent. So go to a different brush. Default hard brush. Oops. Default hard brush. Default hard. There we go. So I'll do that. Now we're going to duplicate this once more and change the color to be darker look. And then for this one, black mask, I'll take a dirt color here. Just kind of go over it like that, blend it in. There we go. Now I've successfully locked whatever artifact that was. There we go. Good, good, good. Alright, so do we like it? I kind of like it. So I'm going to save that as new. So I'm going to create a new folder here. This is how I like to do it, and you don't have to do it like this, but I like to do it like this. Oops. What did I just do? Undo. Bring those all under new. That way I can easily turn new on and off just by going like that. And then if I want to, I can create an old one. And it's basically the same one, so I'll turn off new. And then we'll add things like rust. So we'll metal rust. And for metal rust, I want to add a color selection, pick color. Only want this on the metal, so I'll pick the blue or the green and the red. And then I will go into my, this is one I've made already, rust, SFB simple rust. Bring that in there, and now I've got all the rust there. If I wanted to, I could take this right here and just bring it down if I felt like it. And then we can do painted rust. This is one thing I like to do. Painted rust. And with this, I'm going to bring in this rust fine. I'll cover the entire thing, but of course that's too much, so I'm going to add a black mask here. Go to our particles. I like to use the leaks or leaks heavy for this one. And then you can just go around again on the UV or not and just kind kind of throw some leaks. Leaking metal, rust over the whole thing. This is another crazy powerful thing that Painter can do that makes it real easy for us non-artists to be effective in this process. Going kind of quick. Generally I'd go through and make sure I don't have any gaps up at the top. Right here. Let me just finish this last bit. Alright, so now we've got some rusting on the wood itself, which is a neat look. And if we wanted to, we could add even more old wood. So we can go back to our wood area and do a search for wood. And I know I've got some old wood. This aged wood might work. Let's bring that in. We'll add this right here, top, and then we'll add a black mask. And then go to our smart masks and figure out what works. Cavity rust again. It's probably too much. I want a little. There we go. So that could work. There's a lot of options. And I really just enjoy just playing around, seeing what works. So this one could work. Just adds a little rough wood all around. And then I can go to the wood itself and adjust the colors and whatnot. I see it's using a substance as its material. Let's see. So I can add an effect layer, I believe. Add filter. We're going to call this hue. Oops. Hue SL. HSL. Alright, and we're going to change this stuff here. A little darker. Zoom down a little bit. I'll change the hue. There we go. Now you can see that change right there. It just brings it a little bit more. So the roughness is more on the wood rather than the coloring. Match that color a little bit better. Alright, so now we've got our old look and our new look. You can kind of just see the two. And in Designer, in the next step, we can actually blend between the two to get a more fine-tuned look in-game, depending on how you want to do your game. And we'll go about... Oh, yeah, you can see the top too. The top's really cool. Oops. You know what? I wonder if we can invert the height on this old wood. Let's see. What's the height on? I don't know. Turn the height off. We'll add a fill layer with only height. Bring that down. There we go. So now we can have control over the height of this damaged area, bring it in and out. So we'll keep it close to 0, but I just wanted to go in a little bit so that instead of out, it's just a little bit in. Let's see. I think I want to do that. Maybe not. I'll turn that off, and you can always turn that back on if you so choose when you get this file. Alright, so now we've got the two things, the two versions, and of course we still have our normal or default version. So I'm going to export these. So first I'm going to take the old, make sure it's the only one I have active, use the export hotkey. I'm going to call this, go into my export textures. This is just my structure. You can do it however you want here. I'm going to create a new folder called barrel2 demo old, and I'm going to open that, and then make sure I've got document channel selected. Export those. Then I'm going to turn that off, turn the new on, export that. But I'm going to create a new folder for this one. Barrel2 demo new. Export those. And I already have exported the additional maps. You can see them right. Barrel2 additional maps. The only ones I really need from this are the ID, the color ID, the position, and the world space normals. So I'm not going to export them again, but if I would need to, I just use additional maps here, choose a new folder, and export them there. So we're all set with Painter. I'm going to save this file, and next we'll go into Designer, and I'll show you how to replace the current SBS file with these new maps so you can use them in my standard workflow inside Unity if you so choose. Thanks!